Hey, good evening, everyone. Here we are for the trade, the daily review. As promised, what we'll do in these streams for now is until folks propose questions, we'll take one of the systems and signal generators that I've developed and talk about how the signals could be executed and then managed, because obviously those are two different processes during the session. And for the most part, I mean, obviously there is context analysis that will be required in order to execute the signal at all. But for the most part, we'll try to stick to just dealing with the signal and how once you're in the trade, the calibrated expectations that I understand having studied the system and what it would require to either manage and get out break even, manage it for profit, or manage it for a loss. So I'm going to share my chart unless anyone has any questions before we get started. And I mentioned last night that we'll try to keep these to 15 to 20 minutes just so we can do them more frequently and get a bit more content to cover. So here we go. We'll share the screen here. And of course, any questions or if you want me to look at anything in particular, and certainly if you have any questions about the signals or the management, let me know. So I've showed these signals before. They're basically trend and trading range signals. The algorithm is a price action algorithm that just decides whether or not the bar is a trend or a trading range bar, and then if it is, whether it qualifies for an entry, or if you can structure a trade based on the bar. So I mentioned last night that I was not going to be there until a little bit later in the session, so I didn't end up getting to the computer until about bar 15 here. And so this buy below here had already triggered. And so there was no active signal at that point. Once this, so this is a sell climax bar, but broke out from a bad sell signal and is now breaking out of a wedge. So, pull back here. This is my first trade. I sold with a limit order here, anticipating that sell climax would get a pullback, with the expectation that we would test the previous day's low. So I didn't hold for that long. I'm almost never in trades for that long. I got out at the close of 18. So from here to close of 18. Then no signals in here. And so this is a sell signal here. But when you have the way that the system works, there are some context. There's some context analysis that you need to do when considering either the trend or the trading range signals. And I mean, there's like a lot of write up on this. So when you develop a system, one of the things that you do is, at least, we have Systems Academy students do at least 100 trade study, and then after that do usually another pass. So they've done at least a study of 200 instances of their system, and then from there do forward testing and then live trading. And so the volumes written about these sell signals, there's a lot of context that goes into it, and we can't get into all of the context now. But one of the things that you don't want to do is if the bar has still space between the EMA and the bar, and it's not a breakout. So this is an outside bar or variation of an outside bar. I would not sell right here. So, and if the sell is not at the high or one tick above the high, then it's at a measured move. So what I did is I scaled in, or sorry, I sold here and was willing to scale in at a full measured move of this sell signal bar, with the expectation that we were going to get 2 legs up and then some sideways trade. And so this was, one leg pull back, second leg, and climactic second leg in a tight, a narrow trading range. It's not a tight trading range, but narrow trading range. So that was second trade. And because this is a trend and trading range system, one of the things that you have to be careful of and that requires study are trend signals. So this is a trend signal. Trend signals at the extremes of a trading range are actual candidates for fades. So I didn't fade this signal bar, but I could have. And it gave further confirmation that we were in a trading range because we weren't getting, if you go back to first principles of trading ranges and trading breakouts, then if anyone in here wants to volunteer and answer, what do breakouts at the highs of breakout bars at the highs of trading ranges do? Any volunteers? They trap traders, right? So this is a variation of a second leg trap. It's not extreme. You're not seeing a big climactic bar that's trapping tons of traders, buying the high, but it is. Yeah, Christina, it's a trap. Exactly. Breakouts at the highs of trading ranges are traps. They're variations of second leg traps. If you study 3-bar systems, so like this is a 3-bar breakout. It's a type of micro gap setup. And after you've had one leg, micro gap signals in second legs in what is likely going to be trading range behavior after being in a bear channel. So bear channel, this is a extreme, climactic leg that extends beyond the trend channel line. Then, one leg, second leg, odds are you're going to have more 2-leg behavior because that's what we've been seeing all day. So here, same thing, like the breakout and follow through here, but here it's a micro gap. And again, those are candidates for fades rather than trades for continuation. So I wasn't trading here, but in any case, we'll go back to this. I sold above. So based on this sell signal and then this sell signal, I entered here with a limit order and was out at the open of 26. Again, did not fade this outside bar because it's in the middle of this trading range again, but did sell above 35 and took profit at 35 low on 38. And so magenta bars are, here, I'll pull this up on the screen. The magenta bars are big breakout bars. So they are statistically large bars as a measure of z-score. Z-score is basically just a way of normalizing a standard distribution. So a lot of folks like to use standard deviation as a method for looking at the relationship between things. But one of the problems that you end up with is you can get a wide range of numbers that you end up dealing with. So it's hard to categorize them into kind of like a threshold ranges. But the nice thing about a z-score is it takes standard deviation and normalizes it. So it takes, what could be, 1 to 15 or 20 as a standard deviation, and then collapses that down to usually between about like 4 and -4 and +4. Usually you almost never see -4. Usually between like -2 and 4. So, and actually I can show you. I think I have it set up here. Okay, so yeah, if you look at the there in the data window, you'll see the body z-score there is 1.49, and here the body z-score is 2 and the full range z-score is 1.66. So those are just two different ways of looking at bar size, and it helps to better, and the reason for doing it is, so this isn't an arbitrary decision that we make. The reason for determining whether a bar is statistically large is because it helps you calibrate expectations for what should come after. So if every trade is an event, if every bar is an event and every following bar is the response, what are the things that you should be able to project as potential scenarios after a big breakout bar? There are a few. It requires study. Again, I can. I think I've showed this before. I have a system that I developed for trading big breakouts. Actually, they're called you call them Z bars. It'll take a second to load because there's a lot of calculations in it. But let's see here. While we're waiting for this to load, any questions? Did I click? Okay, yeah. Wow, it really is taking a long time to load. Okay. So you'll see some similar signals here. But again, these are signals based only on Z-score. So here you'll see this is a sell above, and the DJ, yeah, look back for Z bars is 20 periods, 20 bars. There's a lot of stuff on this one. I don't know whether it's worth going into all of the things that this puts on the chart. These are similar signals. They mean slightly different things because of the types of bars. But so this is a sell above. This is a sell above. This is a sell not directly above, but usually you want it's not a measured move either because measured moves of Z bars are too large for placing entries. But it's sell somewhere above, and usually you want to determine that based on the context. And when you have here, when you have both a sell above and this green signal suggests that there is probability for a pullback here because of the weak close after getting a breakaway gap. So you see the tick gap here on the open of this bar. So the open of this bar is one tick lower than the close of this bar. Those are the kinds of nuances that this Z-bar system accounts for in the way that it shows the signals and then suggests the kind of trade management which you would want to use. So anticipating a pullback, but understanding that the trade is for a sell above. Here it's buy below, sell above. Here it is sell the close. So the orange is sell the close. That's sell the close. When you have three signals in a row, typically you're in a climactic move. So you can sell the second signal in a strong leg, but the third signal you want to wait for a pullback. So you would not be selling this one. But even if you did, you would be able to scale in higher and usually get out break even because it's unlikely to get a V reversal. So knowing that V reversals are one of the lowest probability events, you can usually manage for that. But again, this is sell above. This is buy low with the expectation that you're going to be pulling back. So depending on the context with these signals, you can actually take these fades knowing that you're probably going to get the opportunity to sell higher. But that takes a long time to practice. And to be honest, the reason I don't trade the system is because I actually don't like trading the signals. Like I developed the system and I did trade it, but after trading it for a while, I just prefer not to. So typically like to look at these signals. So by about bar, yeah. So I only had those three because I was not at the screens for that long today. This system here, this trend and trading range bar system. So it's a scalping system. And so those are all the trades that I had from this system today. One of the interesting things, though, that we can look at, we'll hide that again. When you have failed signals, So one of the things that we do in Systems Academy after you've developed your signal generator, excuse me, and understand some of the nuances. You can start accounting for time in trade and better calibrating your expectations for what failed signals look like, and then what opportunities failed signals provide. And so, if we look at so this signal, which is a cell above, never triggered. So sellers got trapped. Sellers who were waiting for the pullback got trapped out of that one because they never got it. And then buyers who were buying these trading range signals, uh, attempting to fade them and get at least one bar range to those previous highs, also didn't get them. Or depending on where this person placed a stop, if they were trading using one bar range as their stop, they actually got stopped out on bar 43. So when that happens, so both successful and failed signals give you substantial information about what the market is doing and likely state of the market cycle. So if these buys are failing and buyers cannot get back to these previous trading range highs, then odds are better for lower prices before higher. And then when this signal doesn't even get much of a pullback, if someone had taken this buy below here, anticipating more trading range behavior, even maybe they'd missed the fact that both of these signals failed, and they thought that this one would be successful. By the time this signal closes and doesn't get any pullback, so even if a signal is going to fail, typically, let me show you. So this signal was quasi. I mean, it probably could get out reasonably well, even if you didn't hold for the full target back to the bar open. So if you had bought this and just got out, somewhere in the middle of the bar, it didn't give you an optimal trade. So a lot of the buy signals are failing early in the day. So this one didn't technically fail, but wasn't great. These two failed. What are the odds that this is going to be the buy signal that works? Yeah, probably not great. So once this bar closes against you, then you can also start marking these levels as retest locations. So then you get the two legs up to retest, and then this context that we talked about earlier, the second leg in a likely trading range, becomes a candidate for a fade, right? Because it is retesting the level to let back out, understanding that the day is a variation of a trending trading range day, and that trap traders are likely going to be let out unless we get some large trend into the close. So that's an example of how I managed the three trades I did take, and then the way the signals operate and how a calibrated expectation based on the study of those signals not only helps you take and manage those trades, but also helps you better understand how the day is developing. Um, so there's a many downstream effects of doing the proper system development that translate well beyond simply studying and deploying the system, but to and then also, I mean, I should say they don't extend beyond it. They help you see context related to things other than directly the system that you're trading, which then reinforce the methods you use to trade that system. So it creates a very efficient feedback loop that helps you improve both your trading of the system and understanding of price action at a much faster rate than you would, um, yeah, in my experience, kind of doing an attempted focus study of, say, high ones or high twos or climactic bars and trading ranges. Doing it through the lens of a system, a system which you're building out or you've deployed in the market, uh, has a much faster feedback loop, which is one of the many benefits of doing that kind of system development. So Jim says, how many systems that are developed in Systems Academy can be run profitably on AutoTrade. Uh, most systems can't be run profitably on AutoTrade, so that's probably it's not unique to Systems Academy. I have some students in our group this semester, this year, who are developing fully automated systems, and we have a return student from last year who's in the group as well, who has a system which he's running entirely programmatically. Um, he runs it every day. He's a doctor, and he lets it run while he's at work. So it can be done, but there are a lot of additional steps which you need to take to develop that properly. It's a very demanding road, um, but it can definitely be done. We have a number of students this year who are doing it. I have a computer science student from Georgia who's developing a system and doing some really elegant leg counting methods that are uh, he's figuring out some really great ways of managing first principles of price action in these sophisticated algorithms. It's really cool. Exactly. Yeah. So here, let me. This is the key, and you pointed out exactly why it's so difficult. So your system performance would be affected by how well you read the market cycle. Exactly. And so your algorithms you use can't just be signal generating algorithms; they have to be context algorithms, and those are very difficult to write because it requires relatively sophisticated coding skills. So you have to be able to manage, and maybe we could, if there's enough interest and demand for it. I mean, I could do a session, one of these evening sessions, just on like a deep dive on coding for price action for folks who really want to geek out on that. I'm happy to do it, but the methods that you use go well beyond just generating signals. You have to be relatively comfortable managing arrays. You have to uh, not just arrays, but different types of loops. You have to be able to count inside of loops. And so counting in loops can get pretty confusing for folks who are just coming into systems development in general. So I would say it's probably not going to be your run of the mill price action trader who sits down and goes from you know uh, develop trading a discretionary model to trading a fully automated system. But that being said, our doctor from last year, who was in the class this year, had not done any coding before, and he took a bunch of the easy language programming courses and ended up developing and deploying the system which he's running right now. So I'm going to stop my screen share. So I mean, it can definitely be done. It just depends on more than anything. It depends on your kind of passion for the work, because it is a ton of work, and your time, because it is going to take a ton of time to do that kind of system development. Um, Someone who might be able to develop one or go from not knowing how to code to developing a strong and profitable signal generating algorithm, which they can do a meaningful study on and then deploy as a semi-automated system. That is a much more achievable goal. I mean, I didn't code before I came into Systems Academy, and within 4 months had learned PineScript and had coded, uh, yeah. So I had coded a number of systems by that point. Jim, the system that the doctor made, it's based on, well, I guess it depends on what you mean by is it based on the white paper, because um, that white paper is really like kind of like a first principles discussion of breakout and follow through system. And so essentially everything that we do for a trend resumption system has some orientation to the data in there, because that's really where all of the breakout and follow through systems begin. So if you're going to trade a breakout and follow through system, it starts with that structure. And if you add a third bar and you trade a microgap system, then it's that breakout white paper plus a bar, and then you study and you add all the additional context for understanding that extra bar and how that affects the calibrated expectations for pullbacks and pullback depth. And there's so many things that end up changing when you add a bar, or if you're going to trade a big breakout bar system like the one that I developed. You can have 1, 2, and 3 bar systems that generate different signals. So there's tons of ways to use the data from that breakout white paper. But yeah, it's in part based on that. But then he has a totally different way of counting legs and assessing always in direction. So there's lots of methods that you can use, but everything starts from the first principle that the highest probability scenario in price action trading is the second leg. So it's really focused around properly identifying strong first legs that will lead to profitable second leg opportunities. So Jim, so if you go to Systems Academy, you'll code or build a system around the white paper. Is that pretty correct? You can. If you build a breakout and follow through system, it will in some way engage with the white paper. I mean, it sounds like you probably either bought it or read the paper. So you would, if so, you'll be familiar with the fact that Ali leaves a number of things unresearched, or well, things which he has researched but left unresolved, unsaid, for the benefit of students. And so the white paper that he wrote is really, it's long, it's nuanced, it's a substantial piece of price action research, and it gives everyone a firm foundation to start from. But there's a ton that it doesn't deal with at all. Like, you could develop a system entirely based on breakouts from outside bars. That's not something that he deals with in that paper. So outside bar breakout systems, small bar breakout systems, breakout systems that are based on sequences of small bars that are breakouts on higher time frames. They're all variations on a breakout system, but the idea is that the breakout white paper gives everyone kind of equal footing to start from, and then from there you find the things that most resonate with the way that you like to think about the market, and then you take those paths. And everyone's working on the same kind of the same first principle, but from their own perspective. And so then the coaching sessions become the place where folks get to see how other people are managing this process and whether those same strategies and tools we're developing can work for other systems as well. That's often the case. You can see students borrowing ideas from others in coaching sessions and using them in their systems and adapting them and changing them. I mean, nothing translates exactly, but yeah, you're right that it starts from there, gives everyone equal footing, and then everyone wildly diverges and finds their own system that makes the most sense for them. So if that's good for this evening, we ran a little longer than I had anticipated, but that's great. I love seeing all the questions. So um, I'll leave you all there this evening. If I have a chance to jump on before next Sunday, I will. I'm sorry, no, I'm planning on Wednesday. Wednesday. So I'll be here Wednesday, and then my anticipated schedule will be Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and we'll do Monday, Wednesday trade review and discussion of actual systems in the wild, and then Sunday will be first principles review of some system development topic. So we'll try that for a while and see whether folks join and if they get something from it, and we'll keep it going if it does. So talk to you all Wednesday. Have a great night.